What up? This is Jason with Unpacked Games. Today we're going to be taking a look at Overboss, a boss monster adventure by Brotherwise Games. This is a game for 1 to 5 players. It takes about 20 to 30 minutes to play, and the age is 8 and up. Brotherwise Games, you might know, they've created games such as the boss monster games. They have very much like an 8-bit vibe to most of their games. So let's go ahead and take a look. I got this on Kickstarter, so you'll see right away I've got the Overboss original backer bag, which I believe is sort of exclusive to Kickstarter. This is pretty much the standard retail bag. They're basically identical. One's purple and's got gold lettering. The other's black and white. Inside you've got your booklet. It's very small. It's just a couple pages. It's got your components overview and scoring example on the back, which is handy. Separately from that, there's actually a quick start guide, which is kind of cardstock. Tells you everything you have to do to set up the game. And then this is kind of all of the scoring mechanics and how they work. So this is very handy. I pretty much keep this on the side whenever I'm playing. Very useful information. Here's kind of a close-up of the component sheet. So you kind of get to see. There's many tiles in this game. And they all have pretty much like an 8-bit vibe, which is pretty cool. Kind of feels like you're building the overworld for Zelda on like the Super Nintendo. Separately, here's another sheet of paper that includes information for the solo mode. The solo mode is pretty much high score, where you're playing by yourself and trying to go for a high score. And then there's also a campaign, which outlines various scenarios. Kind of tells you exactly which tile sets to work with, and then like some challenges you want to try and accomplish. Inside we've got 5 player cards, or mats, player boards. They're all the same. And on the top side here you've got 12 tiles and a little staging area for a couple things that come in when you're playing. And then on the other side you have a bigger mat, 16 tiles I think, and this is more for your like slightly longer rounds and adds like a little bit of a more strategic element to the game. This area you would just play off to the side if you flipped, so you'd just be over here. You've got your score booklet, so many pages, double-sided, which is great. And this has been very helpful because it basically allows you to run through the various terrain types and then all the different things that you score and how, because the scoring can be a little overwhelming until you get used to it. And if you go in this order, it makes it very easy. Here we've got our marketplace card, and normally if you didn't have this you would just put 4 tiles on the floor in between the 2 player mats. The top layer, so the inserts are game trays, and the top layer is for the broken token tile tower. So we'll take a look at this in a minute, but it's kind of the standard broken token like wood, and this is really cool that it's got its own insert and it just sits right on top of the game. Here is the game box itself. In my opinion, very nice. Everything sits very comfortably. Kind of turn it upside down. Nothing's going to go anywhere. Very cool. I stand corrected, actually. You can see a couple little tiles came out of place in there. The lid snaps on. Clear. Inside we've got, zoom in a bit here. You've got a place for all of the various tiles, all the different sets, and then the boss cards in the middle and some other things in the middle as well. So we'll take a look at the boss cards. These are the various bosses that come with the game. We've got a number of different bosses, and they all kind of have their own special powers. And the way these work is you've got a reveal, and then you've got a score. So basically you keep their boss's secret while you're playing, and at any time you decide to reveal, you can do so and then do the action that it says. So in here it says exchange 1 token on your map or layer with a token from the market. And then at the end of the game, you sort of have a mini challenge that you're going for while you're trying to set up for bonus scoring. Some of these are pretty unique and pretty cool, and they kind of changes the dynamic of the game pretty deep. And there's a bunch of bosses in here. kind of like the art style too. It's very neat. So those are the bosses. These are actually 2 boss monster bonus promo cards that came with the game. So they don't actually need to be in here. I just wanted to show them. So if you have boss monster and you're into it, that's pretty cool. Here are the terrain selection cards. And these basically explain the various kinds of terrain and what the monster tokens and the crystal tokens for each. And the good thing about them is when you go to get the actual terrain tiles, you can pull the monsters and crystals right out from underneath them, and I'll show you that next. So that's all of them, and they correspond with all of the tiles. So here's an example of a cloud tile. Each tile has its own unique art and art style. The middle square is where you would put a monster token if you got one from the market. And then the bottom right explains how scoring works. And then underneath here, you can see these are the tokens for this particular tile set. So you've got your crystal. Let's get that to focus. There we go. And then various monsters. And all of these tile sets are set up the same way. So you've got your stack of tiles, you've got your monsters and your crystal underneath for every one. Underneath the terrain cards, here is a stack of portals. These are all the same. And these, the way these work, they're double-sided. And let's get a zoom there. Come on. So this is when the portal is active and you can use it. And then when you're done, you flip it and you can no longer use it. And portals let you move monsters around on the board. So part of the objective of the game is to get the same kind of monsters in a line, similar to like Tetris. And if you've made a mistake where you weren't able to line them up, you could use a portal to move 2 monsters, swap places, things like that. And that'll kind of help you score. So those sit there very nicely. The dungeon tiles are unique in that you cannot place a monster on them, and they have a unique scoring style. And we can talk about that also later with the overview. The way this is set up, I have 1 extra slot. So this slot is empty. Either I set up the case wrong or possibly an expansion slot. 1 expansion slot doesn't sort of make sense, but I can't think of a different way to organize this. I guess I could technically put these here, but then there's a square here, so I'm not quite sure what that would be for. These cards fit here. These fit here. So yeah, that's the inside of the box. Like I said, this lid goes on rather nicely. Let me put this here. Put these here, here, like so. Clear lid, snaps in place. This is the instructions for the little tile tower, which actually I will show you now. This aside, so tile tower is interesting because it's a nice little bonus. Basically, you take this, slide that in there, like so, and then these go on top. So if I were to have one complaint about this whole setup, is that I'm not a fan of this tower, and I'll tell you why after I finally get it put together. Everything slides in nicely, but I feel like there was a mistake when they were making it, where these little clips go in and slide up. So if I were to remove this, I would pull this up and then out. The problem is it doesn't feel like you could, like I feel like I should be able to lift it from just this little lip. But if I do that, the whole thing kind of wants to come apart. So I have to kind of grab it by the sides. And if I hold it from the sides like this, everything's fine. These just kind of sit on the side as like decoration. So that works. Put it there. I'll lay it down so you can kind of see what it looks like. And if I grab some tiles, basically what you do is when you play, you grab 5 different tile sets and then you shuffle them all. So you shuffle them on the table, then you create a new stack, and this tower basically will fill with the entire stack. So like that, it'll go all the way up to the top, sit it off to the side, and then when you're playing, you just pull a new one each time. Again, presuming they're shuffled, so you kind of get a nice random collection. You don't really need this. You can just have it in a pile if you want. We've been playing with it, but eventually it's probably going to get on my nerves and we'll probably stop using it, but very nice touch. So that's the tower. Again, it fits very nicely inside the original box top. Put that there. And you can see, when I originally opened this, I was extremely impressed with how it all came together and everything fits nicely. There's literally a place for everything, and everything fits very well. That goes there. These have a little cutout notch for the game tiles. Slide right in place. The directions, quick start guide, scoring sheet, all go there. And then I just kind of throw these on top. And like I said, you can stand it sideways, you can flip it around, you're not going to lose all your pieces, everything fits nicely. And again, that's Overboss from Brotherwise Games.